Actually, it's very high.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? We're back. We're talking Halloween. We all saw the same movie this time, so we're going to have opinions to talk about.
Yeah, we are. And we can all talk about it without being too obscure about it.
Yeah, there we go.
That's good. And it's a pretty simple movie, so we can't really...
Yeah, if you don't know Halloween, it's basically a slasher film. This crazy guy puts on a mask, a William Shatner mask, and kills a bunch of people.
It's William Shatner?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, they don't say that in the movie.
Yeah.
No, it's just like...
That's what they found.
What'd you guys think?
I think we should start with the guy who's not into scary movies.
Yeah, so I am a
baby.
Yeah, I'm a baby.
Big old baby.
Big old baby.
I'm okay with it. Like I don't really like horror movies. I will never go out of my way to see a horror movie
Unless you have to review.
unless I have to review one, which I did today or yesterday.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it a lot. Like it's like a thriller almost. It's not like I'm gonna have nightmares about this type deal. So if you're not into horror movies, when you don't mind really bad violence or like super violence,
No, I don't think people are not into horror movies are gonna like this.
Yeah, no, not at all. Okay, let me rephrase that.
Could you take your grandma to go see it, Zach?
No.
Okay.
Do not take your grandma to see this movie.
Unless your grandma is
loves
horror
too.
movies.
It was fun. It was really dumb, but it's like it was written by Danny McBride, which like you can kind of tell, and like whenever there's lulls in the action, like there's funny conversations. And
Yeah, and it was directed by David Gordon Green, who
Little
was
Rock native.
born in Little Rock, but probably didn't live here.
I think he moved to Texas very quickly. But there's also a cool Arkansas company in there too. You didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it.
No.
No, West Rock Coffee makes an appearance
Oh, yeah.
once or twice.
That's okay.
Just a little nod to.
So you see the
his
elephant,
home.
yeah. So you thought you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it for what it was. Like I don't
Did
really
you get scared at all? Were there any times that you were?
It was more like anticipation. Like I hate jump scares, not because they're scary, because I find them obnoxious. Like especially nowadays, where like there's a jump scare and like there's a loud scream afterwards. And it's just loud. Like this one, like it was like I was scared because of the tension, not because of like spookiness. Like
Which is very Halloween-esque anyways.
yeah, because I've seen the first one. I haven't seen any of the other ones.
That's fine because this one totally erases everything else.
It's a direct sequel to the original one, and they actually poke fun at the other sequels, where like in a throwaway line where she's like, "Oh, everything else is just made up stories."
But at the same time, it's like why did you have to do that?
Yeah.
Because some of the corny ones are good for that reason.
And I think I really enjoyed watching the movie in the theaters. It is like, if you're gonna see it, you need to see it on a Friday night or on Halloween night with just a packed crowd, because that's the best way to watch this movie. But I'm struggling to I love the original Halloween, but this one, it just feels like it could have been any movie. It could have been a sequel to The Town That Dreaded Sundown, you know, it's just, I feel like these characters aren't the characters that we met 40 years ago. You know, like Michael, this movie is brutal.
Oh yeah.
It is. At times it's gross. So you're like, ugh, yucky. You know, but
I've never seen someone stabbed to the throat so much in my life.
Yes. and the idea that like Michael is just a killing machine. And it's like they said, you know what? Forget all the other movies except for the fact that Michael's a crazy person. You know, which he is a crazy person, but he just kills so many people in this movie, and sometimes for no reason. And
there was so many times like, what was the point of that?
And I think that's what made Halloween so scary for me when I first saw it, was that this dude just finds 3 random girls and follows them. I mean, the first half of the movie is him just driving around, following these 3 people, mostly following Lori, and then decide, and they're all like right there. They're all on the same street. This movie just feels like it wanted to be so big and so crazy, and it kind of pulls it down. It's still really entertaining for me, but it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. The most Halloween part about it is Michael and Lori, and then John Carpenter's score.
It was trying to be the original movie, like it tapped into the nostalgia, but a lot. Well,
there was a few scenes where
it's a lot of nostalgia, and it's like, like you said, Mike Myers doesn't feel like Mike Myers. He feels like Cat in the Hat.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's like Austin Powers. You know, and it's cool that Jamie Lee Curtis came back and then she was like, I got guns and I'm ready.
She was cool.
I don't think she earns that.
If they had explained it better,
Yeah.
I would have felt like more connected to her and like, oh yeah, she's gonna kill this dude.
And I wanted her to be the new Loomis. And she kind of is at times, but I wanted it to be like she's looking for Michael, not looking for her granddaughter, because she has no idea that he's even found her. I mean, Michael would have no idea. Like in my dream Halloween sequel, of course.
The tonal shifts in this movie are like, I respect Danny McBride, and he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
But the tonal shifts in this movie just they didn't work for me. So I mean, I guess it's an okay movie.
Can we talk about the weird throwaway lines? There was a line that the doctor said where, everyone lock your doors, I'm a doctor.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know if that was supposed to be funny or not.
I think a lot of some of the bad lines were intentional.
Yeah.
Because, like everyone loves and respects and reveres the first Halloween, but there are like John Carpenter.
Yeah.
He's not that great of a scriptwriter. Mm-hmm. It's the pieces between the lines that make John Carpenter's movies great, and like the commentary on society that makes his movies great. So sometimes you get, like in They Live, you get a lot of hokey dialogue, but that's what, it's like the stuff in between that makes it great, and then the lines make it better. So they were trying to go for that similar thing. They just kind of, it's kind of just like try to hit a home run and someone caught the ball right before.
Yeah, and I just don't know what to think. Like, was that supposed to be funny, or am I supposed to weird it out?
Again, it's not a bad movie.
It's super well made.
I disagree. I think I would put it as a bad movie. Like technically, it's a good movie. Yeah. Soundtrack's great, but I just didn't like. I didn't care about anything until like the last 30 minutes where it got like super tense.
Can we talk about the last 30 minutes? Like,
it was good.
This movie's not scary. Yeah. It's not like, and even what you were saying, it's suspenseful, but I feel like I didn't really feel that tension until the end.
Yeah. And then it just clobbers you. Like, it's 30 minutes where you're just like, oh man, like what's gonna happen?
On a scale of Halloween movies, what would you rate it?
Well, Halloween 2 is good. Of course the first Halloween is iconic and the best. I have a love-hate relationship with Halloween H2O, or 20 Years Later, whatever, like whatever that title is. So I feel like it's that for me. Like it's
meh.
It's a movie, and I enjoy watching it, like turning it on and like doing 50 other things around Halloween, but it's definitely not like the best one. I don't even know if it's the second best one. Like, a lot of people are saying it's right. I mean, it's like Halloween and this Halloween, but I don't think so. So it's like H2O for me.
That's pretty much how I feel. Where I've only seen the first one, but this is a movie that I'm never gonna watch again. There's like one shot where it's like a 5-minute sequence shot. I'll watch it for that, even though it's completely pointless.
Also watch it for that's what it's cool, but it's pointless. Also watch it for there's a cool motion light scene. I thought that was clever. That was fun.
Yeah. There's certain situations that are really clever and fun, but I'm never gonna watch it again. Yeah. I'm gonna forget about it in a week.
That's gonna go on the back of the DVD. Cool but pointless.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
J.D. Roberts. It's fun to watch in parts, but mostly it's just like I didn't enjoy watching it. Is it the curse of Michael Myers?
No, I think 4 is the curse. No, 4 is the return.
I'll just say Halloween
Revenge.
5. It's Halloween 5.
It's the one that's not Paul Rudd?
It is.
No, it is the one with Paul Rudd. Yeah.
I googled that one.
He takes the baby.
That's right.
Yeah. With like Freddy and Jason, they've explained it so much that they're supernatural.
Yeah.
Whereas Michael Myers is like, I guess he's supernatural. I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out.
It's his hate that drives. I think that's kind of saying, like, it's his love of the game, the love of the kill.
Yeah,
that's what's keeping him going.
He's the LeBron James of.
He just won't stop.
It's the LeBron James of horror. You're so right.
The LeBron James.
Next week.
Who's the Larry Bird of horror?
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, next
Chucky.
week.
There we go.
Yeah, Chucky. Yeah.
We're here again in this corner to talk about horror movies. I find myself coming back to this corner a lot. I was just here for There's Someone Inside Your House. I was here a few months ago for Fear Street. Feels good to be back. Or does it? Because, woof. Halloween Kills. I was going to try to make like a pun there, like a more like Halloween something, but it literally I can't. I just can't, because it's just That was a great review that I just did, but honestly, gotta get into it more. The metrics, the algorithms, you know the deal, YouTube. So here we go. Halloween Kills. This is the middle part of an apparent trilogy that picks up right after the 2018 Halloween reboot, something. Redo? I don't know. Like, everyone's back. David Gordon Green is back as director. Shout out Little Rock. Little Rock does get a shout out, and it's hilarious. Danny McBride is back on Script Patrol. Jason Blum's back on producing. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, and we have some other returning people from the original Halloween. The person who played Lindsay is back. The little girl. The actress who played Marion, the nurse who is attacked by Michael after he escapes, she is back for some reason. The actor who played Lee Brackett is back, and he is old. Michael escapes. Sorry, spoiler alert for Halloween 2018. Michael escapes the fiery tomb he's left in by Laurie and her daughter and her granddaughter. And he gets out and he continues his rampage. Some other survivors of Michael Myers are trying to rally the town to kill him once and for all. I've got a lot to talk about with this movie. One of my biggest complaints of the last one, which I enjoyed, I really liked it, and even the more I watched it, I've watched it a few times since it came out. Can't believe that was, 3 years ago. It's a good movie. It just, there are times where Michael just doesn't feel like Michael, from the original movie. It's a brutal, brutal movie, and I let it go for the first one. This one just cranks that up, and it just feels unnecessary. And I know, I've read Twitter, I've read, I've read the internet, the whole internet, and I know you're gonna tell me, oh, it's a horror movie. What'd you expect? It's bloody and blah blah. And to that I'd say this doesn't it doesn't have the fun and the life of the original movies. Gosh, I would even prefer watching The Curse of Michael Myers over this, because at least with that, I know I'm getting some fun and some creative kills. I know I'm getting, they're doing what they can with what they had. And that, I think, betters those movies. A lot of those movies are not great, but also this just felt cynical and even more than the first one. And it just feels yeah, you know what? We're gonna get real gnarly with some kills, and it is gonna be gross. And to me, that just doesn't. That's not kind of that thing that Carpenter kind of created. I love that, if you go back and watch the original, it's pretty tame in comparison. Yes, it's violent. There's not a ton of blood, and there's not we're left more wondering what's gonna happen versus, yeah, hey, he stabbed someone with a light bulb. It feels like someone's holding my head and being watch this. And I hate when horror movies do that. This movie is not fun. It is not a good time. And believe me, it gets worse. It is the characters are awful. The motivations are awful. Laurie is sidelined for a majority of this movie. She literally does nothing. Nothing. And that's fine if that's where the story's going, but you have to have better side characters lifting it up. You had to have someone come to the forefront and be the main character, and that's another thing. I feel Michael's the main character in this, which again is fine, but you have to commit to it. I love the idea of bringing survivors back. I do not like the idea of making them maniacs. And I get it. It's talking about trauma and the way that people react to major events in their lives, but I don't for a second believe that Tommy Doyle is now some crazy lunatic dude who's gonna just lead a mob of people. It's not happening for me. I don't see it. This had so much potential to really like talk about a survivor story, talk about the things, the impacts one night can have on a town, on a people, like for decades. But instead, it's like they came up with these concepts, and it's just a mess. It's like they're just trying to shove so much together, and it doesn't fit. And of course, this is just the middle chapter, so it ends a little bit on a cliffhanger, a strange cliffhanger, honestly. I love Halloween so much. I love watching the bad Halloween so much. I don't enjoy the Rob Zombie Halloweens. And that's how I kind of get this feel from this one. It's like the way it looks, the color grading, it's just a gross looking movie to me too. There's nothing that just like, that just makes me want to rewatch this, every year. I was really wanting to like this one. I was really rooting for this new series, and I think my biggest concern now is that just like Halloween set a precedent in the 70s for the slashers to come, a lot of them, that's to quote a Rolling Stone article, that's the Halloween survivors had a stone of like slasher movies. And I'm afraid that this Halloween movie will become, this new trilogy will unfortunately become the new kind of template for which we base these reboots and reimaginings on. And I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to see that. And horror should be fun. It should say something, but it should be a little fun. And I found myself not enjoying this movie at all. I'm gonna go 5 seasons of The Witch out of 10. And I know you're thinking that's not that bad of a rating. There are quality things in this. There are some enjoyable moments and sequences, but it's not fun, and it kind of like loses the essence of Michael Myers and Halloween that I think like we have started forgotten. I think that modern audiences have like really just latched onto this thing, and really it's like you're like no, that's not what made Halloween great. It's this part of it, the Cody Carpenter like score, that at least gets like 3 points. That part is fantastic. If there's anything great about this movie, it is that. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Fingers crossed the next one is good.
Finally, the Halloween trilogy is over. It has ended.
I just can't.
We watched Halloween Ends, the final in the new requel, legacy, sequel series trilogy by David Gordon Green and
Danny McBride,
and written by 4 other people. And it felt like it was written by 4 other people because half of the stuff that happened in this movie should have been set up in the first movie.
Or just shouldn't have happened at all.
Shouldn't have happened at all.
Oh.
But if you need a plot for this,
so does the movie.
Rowan Campbell plays Corey, and on Halloween night, he's babysitting a kid, toddler, locks him in a closet.
You call it a toddler. I think it's more of like a 6-year-old.
I don't know, man. I wasn't really.
I think you said this, it was like this kid's not being bullied by like a 3-year-old. He's like
he's getting bullied by a toddler. All right, gets locked in, and then he breaks the door open, hits the kid over, falls down this rich people's house's stairs, and he dies. And he gets off on manslaughter, and he's out a couple of years later. And then the malevolent spirit known as Mike Myers, basically...
Mike Myers,
Oh. Corey gets wrapped into his murderous spree, and then there's a murder spree. Laurie's kind of involved.
Corey is kind of like falling in love or something with Laurie's granddaughter Allison, who is...
It's very vague.
Yeah.
Very vague. And yeah, that's the movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is back.
Yeah. This is the movie also that's like been supposed to be like this is it.
Yeah.
These two, for like the third time, are gonna meet up and duke it out, and this is gonna be the ending that you all want.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie was.
And people responded by saying, didn't like that.
Nah.
Didn't like it at all. And we are two of those people. I wrote on here, sucks, is bad, stupid. And I think it's a good way to sum it up.
If you want a more, wordy version of it, I think this is like, I know John Carpenter is not involved in the story. He's only doing the soundtrack. He's like, listen, I'm only doing these soundtracks because that's what I love doing. But like, to me, this whole movie, really the last two movies, the first one is okay, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
It's at least watchable.
Yes. And it's and much like a requel or, legacy sequel, it's pretty much the first one, just with a few changes. Mm-hmm. The last two movies, I think, are like the antithesis of what John Carpenter was going for in the first one.
I remember there was one interview where he called it interesting.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's like interesting. I'm like, oh, okay. I just don't know. I just don't like that. I think this movie is such a mess, but I think you really have to look at it. This was billed as like three. Hey, this is three. It's a continuous story, and for this one to be like, nah, it's like, so even if I didn't like Halloween Kills, for just the way it panned out and just how bad it was and how like meandering it was, this one is like, yeah, what if we just didn't have Michael Myers until last 15 minutes of the movie?
Yeah. But it does bring up some interesting things that it does play with, but it's things they should have done in the second movie or even the first movie, where like there's a part in this movie where the town is basically mad at Laurie for bringing this dude back. Yeah. Essentially is what they're trying to say. And that's something you bring in the second movie. Yeah. But the second movie is all about like, oh, the whole town's got to chase him down and kill him. And this one there's no payoff to any of it.
Well, yeah, and I think they could have shown they could have laid some foundation more in the first one of like how evil impacts people, like how evil impacts individuals, how evil impacts a community, like how it impacts just like everything that it touches. But really, the first one's like, yeah, Michael Myers isn't real. And then the second one's like, nah, he's real. And we start like that's what's infuriating about this whole series is there are things there are seeds planted. Like, I'm really interested in the town just turning into a mob to get this dude. I don't like how it turned out in the movie, but it's like, yeah, that even like people will like turn a leaf just because like one bad thing happens to someone in their community.
Another thing I really liked in this movie, it didn't end up being anything either, but Corey is sort of possessed by the malevolent spirit of Michael Myers.
But is he though?
Yes, he is, but also it doesn't explain it well enough, and it's introduced in this movie. Like they talk about it a little bit in the first and second movie, like how he's bigger than just a serial killer. But the way they go about it, everything that happens, Corey and Michael Myers having the worst fight over a mask I've seen in any movie ever. But the idea like he gets his power from killing people, that sort of thing is cool. But again, it has to be set up at the beginning.
And also, I'm sorry, but like a trilogy that is so like promised to be like, no, like they're not siblings. They're like, this is like a direct follow-up of the first one, and the first one is super grounded. They promise like, hey, there's nothing supernatural about this. He's just a dude who likes to kill people. And then to be like, pretty much by the end of the second one, be like, yeah, this dude's invisible. Yeah. And then now he's like, yeah, this guy is like, he can like pass his spirit on to people. Very Cult of the Thorn, like, when this whole time they've promised like, nah, this is not like, this is real stuff. And I'm like, get out of here. I'd rather just give me all the weird cult stuff. It's kind of perplexing. It's kind of like, I've seen a lot of people use the word baffling, that like this movie for the last year has been like, this is it. They're gonna meet face to face. Use clips of Michael Myers. Spoiler, I know we're in spoilers. Everything you see in the trailer except for what happens at the very end, is not Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Like, this goes as far as to be like, it just, I wish, if we're gonna do the Corey stuff, you're right, it's got interesting things. If you're gonna do a Corey thing, really embrace it. It's like they kind of fought with it for a little bit, like they didn't want to give in until later. Or, you know, if you want more than one, I think it's super interesting. It would have been super interesting. They're like, yeah, this dude is a serial killer too, but like people think it's Michael Myers coming back, but then boom, surprise, he is back. And so there's almost like this weird confusion of like, well, wait, is this a Corey murder? Is this a Michael Myers murder? Like, what's going on? But it just doesn't. I don't know. It's I've realized I do not like the look of these movies.
Yeah.
They're gross.
I was telling you in the first one, you didn't listen to me.
I know, and I think the first one you're so blinded by that kind of like, oh, this is not bad. This is not bad. It's like that Force Awakens where you're like, oh, this is really good, and you're hoping the next one's Last Jedi. Suck it, Last Jedi haters. But you're hoping it's going to be that. And then you're like, ugh, am I it's like, I'm not like, did this movie, was it shot in like 2007? Like, it's gross. There's too I don't like all like I'm not like a gore hater.
Yeah.
But I don't need it in my Halloween movies.
So what you're saying is, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Let's end this.
Okay. Well, are we really ending it? Or is this like...
we're going to do it right here.
I know I'm saying, but is this a real end? Or is this going to be like a...
I hope it's the end. I'm tired of Michael Myers. The Rob Zombie ones sucked. These ones sucked. I mean, there's no point of resurrecting it if it just keeps sucking. How many I hate this movies out of 10 would you give this?
Gosh, I'm going to give this 2, and those two things really just... Some John Carpenter. Probably only John Carpenter. So 2 out of 10, I hate this movie / Evil Dies Tonight, ? Evil Dies 4 years later, ?
Yeah, I'm going to give it 2 out of 10 as well. I just did not have fun.
I'm telling you, I don't even like Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie. Like, there's the only redeeming quality of this movie to me.
And she's wearing her original outfit from the original movie.
Like,
doesn't even matter at that point.
Honestly, I wish that we had like 3 hours to talk about this, because I would talk about how that doesn't feel like Laurie Strode. That was just like, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so John Carpenter, his score with his grandson probably saved this whole franchise for me. At least there's that, you know.
Un esercito di